Yeah, now it could be an incredibly strong lane because it's also up against the Tiny with a little bit of percent damage in the Siphon if that's the route you want to go down for Talon. And KP definitely has the Death Prophet in the arsenal.
Yeah, I almost like we're probably seeing more Death Prophet support than anything else, but when picked alongside the Weaver, I would much prefer to see it in KP's hands, and I think that's probably where they're headed. At the same time, it is a flex pick, so there is probably some room for Talon to maybe change their mind. But Death Prophet Weaver support, you've got no stuns, no real easy way to catch heroes, slow them or anything. So I don't think that is a support duo that makes sense right now, which puts the Death Prophet more into that core role.
Have you been impressed with Q's transition to the position 5?
Yeah, for the games of Talon I've seen, they've been dominating. It's interesting. He's the five and the guy drafting, but it sounds like KP's the guy doing more of the calls. Q obviously not. English is not his first language, and I don't think he's even fluent necessarily in English. But it sounds like from when we interviewed KP that he's getting more and more confident with communicating with his team. So even without the easy communication, he's looked very solid on the 5.
And it's nice as well because Talon, their previous series victory when they had the interview with Mike and John, it was Q and Savage. So Savage came in, did a little bit of translation, and Q he's obviously very invested into learning because as someone who's maybe not as comfortable with English, to go into an interview position, which is scary. There's a lot of people watching and you might fumble your words, but the fact that he's like, no, I'm committed to this, I'm going to continue learning, and it's obviously showing.
It's great to hear, and that's you're playing on a team where you're speaking English, like making that effort. I'm sure his teammates are like, okay, this he's committed. And I think Talon, I touched on some of the panels. This isn't a team where their goal is to like win Division 2 and make it Division 1. This is a team, and their org, they're one of the really successful League of Legends orgs. A lot of money behind them, just a lot of resources. They're hoping this team goes to TI. They didn't pick up a team with like, okay, we're happy if we make it to Division 1. I think you compare Talon to like an org like RSG. I don't think RSG is expecting for their team to make it to TI in year 1. I think they're hoping the team can grow, improve. Maybe by year 2, they're a top Division 1 team. But for Talon, they're expecting results quickly. So, they need things to work out here, and we'll see. I think it seems like the changes they made from Tour 1 to Tour 2 have really kind of bolstered up their roster.
So what's going on with the Army Geniuses lineup at the moment? For me, this is 4 cores. I know we can get flex, but traditionally these are all core heroes.
Very true. I think, like you said at the start, probably Gyro has to go into that 5 position role. Maybe we're even seeing Tiny 4 position. Like, there's been a few teams still playing the Tiny as a 4.
10 seconds remaining.
Could be something for Norman here, although his Mirana getting banned up by Talon are confused. They banned the carry P8 and they also banned Mirana. They're just like, what the hell are these guys doing? I would say pretty firmly Morphling has to be a carry, or carry from the mid lane or safe lane, I guess, is open to kind of for some flexibility. Typically in the past, we did see Morphling used as a counter pick mid against Ember because you can kind of crush the lane pretty hard if you're like a really good Morphling player. But I think Kunkka Morph looked like the 2 cores, at least 2 of the 3 cores for me.
Yeah, I'm also looking, because if you don't put the Morphling mid, then you're probably going up against a Death Prophet who, very similar to the Tiny, really likes high health heroes with the Spirit Siphon. So I feel like that could be a decent amount of farm though for Morphling, because there's not a lane with stuns. Like if it's going to be probably Weaver Death Prophet, I imagine. No stuns means Morphling should be okay. But I think, like you said, more than likely it's just going to be the Morphling into the Ember, which is something that I haven't seen Army Geniuses run, so I have to imagine DB is their Morphling player. Yeah. Maybe they just give it to him. Yep. Insta pick. What's going on? A bit more
clarity here. Okay, they pick a Pugna 5-core lineup. I hope Pugna's support. I think Pugna's support is super good.
Well, it's not.
But Azura picks up the Morphling. Okay, Womi Pugna. All right, there we go. They're doing offlane Pugna with who's there for? Hustle, of course. So we're going to see Norman playing the Tiny 4 position. Do you like what you're seeing from Army Geniuses? It's some interesting picks in different roles.
And I don't know. This is very greedy. So the Pugna is something that they're comfortable with. Wami, I almost certain, has got a very high Pugna. We even see yeah, it's going to be DB even playing the Conqueror as well. So like we were mentioning, yeah, Morphling going to the Ember. It seems like they've got big issues on how they can initiate.
10
You're very
seconds
reliant
remaining.
on the Tiny Blink coming out at a good time. And my concern about a position
5
for
seconds
Tiny is you can
remaining.
feel, I think you have to get very active early to get kills across the map. And if you don't do that, Blink comes out too late. And all of a sudden Talon they're going to itemize to sustain.
Yeah. I think a lot of the 4 time we've seen, if you don't get those kills early and kind of snowball, like in an even game, the hero just feels lackluster. Like you're kind of going to passively farm your blink. It reminds me a bit of Shaker, where it really feels like the only teams that can make it work are the teams that specialize in that hero. Like, we've got Alpha, who still picks Shaker on SMG, but outside of that, no one's really playing it. The 4 tiny feels a bit similar to me, where it's like, okay, this hero is very reliant on that blink dagger, and without it, doesn't do a whole lot in the mid game.
And well, now you also have because the Tiny wants to be making rotations. He's not the greatest laning support. You've got a Wraith King Grimstroke, which is a pretty potent combo, double stun. And I'm very worried. I guess Pugna's pretty mobile, but I think Talon, with how they've been looking super strong in all their lanes, that's something that I'm very concerned on how Army Geniuses can set themselves up.
Yeah, I'm looking at Makoto this game, like playing an Ember against, there's a few stuns here and there, but there's nothing like really troublesome for him to deal with, I feel. And he's got a Grimstroke behind him to give him that extra boost with the Inkswell to, just absolutely run in and destroy people. And I think heroes like Pugna don't like playing against heroes like Ember, where they just get on top of you, have stuns, have ways to cancel your life drain, and will just make your life difficult. So this is a game where I think Makoto can really pop off.
Oh, he's also got the pairing with the Grimstroke, which is a hero, well, is a combo that we've seen apparently not working too much lately. I think it was Knoxville that put out a stat with the most 5 pick duos, and all of them were very surprising on their win rate. Because on paper, like Ember Grimstroke looks really, really good, but heavily countered by BKBs. So I guess that's what we're looking out for Dire.
Yeah, Dire's going to need the BKBs not to come up all too late. And also, I think they just need these lanes to go pretty well at the same time. Like they picked I believe they're playing this Morphling mid. We'll see if they do any kind of lane swaps. But yeah, they need this Morphling to, I think, come out on top of Ember. If Ember has a good mid lane, this game quickly falls apart.
Which is something... I guess that's the thing, though, because the Morphling is going to have a very good time into the Ember. It can... The only way I think Ember really excels in this matchup is you just get a slight from afar with the spam early, but because you don't have a stun, which is always a big issue with the Morphling matchup. So it can kind of, like, he's still going to get a decent amount of farm from Makoto, which is exactly what you're requiring for him early on. And we'll see how they can just look to pair it with the Ember as well. But for Army Geniuses, it's, man, hope you can get out of the laning phase pretty even, and then somehow... Because I don't even know if they can really defend their towers with a collapse that they have super early on Talon, where it's just you're remnant into the Inkswell. You've got a Death Prophet who's just popped Exo. So that's a bit of a concern for me on Army Geniuses on how you can at least keep your towers alive. But we'll see. Because they do have a combat that they're very comfortable with. The Gyro 5, DB on the Conquer.
It always feels like these pushing heroes like Death Prophet love having heroes on their team that can dive in and punish anybody trying to defend towers. So often, like, you're defending a tower, you just want to like spam out the way a bit, but a hero like Ember is going to really enable these pushes.
See, I'm really intrigued to see, honestly, how Wom is able to play here with the Pugna. So he is Grandmaster, so there you go. And also, Azura is Grandmaster as well. So they obviously are very content with putting the Morphling mid, so there's knowledge for next games. And yeah, I just wasn't sure how high level of a Pugna player Wommy is, but he's a filthy spammer, apparently. I'm sure he's a little bit happy with at least the buffs we've seen. I'm honestly intrigued to see Wommy's thought process on the Ag Shard, because this is something Denog and I both believe the Pugna Ag Shard is quite a bait. But, it looks good and all, kind of a bunch of lights just spamming around, but how much value do you really get out of it? So, yeah, we'll see. At the moment, Wommy, like we were saying, Tiny's not really going to be able to provide him too much into lane, so kind of eyes on Narman on how he can maybe disrupt some pulls, unblock the hard camp. Because because that is something that they're going to need to reset the equilibrium. If the Wommy Pugner's caught out of position, then Savage and Q can utilize this with their double stuns. And over to mid. Looking pretty good for Makoto at the moment. I'm intrigued to see. I feel like you probably just look to max out Flame Guard in this matchup just because there's no real slight spam that's going to affect the Morphling. So probably just playing off the back of your own farm. So for at least the 0-up, that's what we were mentioning. I'm trying to see if there's any really good core-to-core matchups, like any replicate targets as the game goes on as well. It's a hero that, for me, I felt very underwhelming with the Morphling. I think a lot of players and teams, they still know when it's a good Morphling game, but they don't have this perfect like replicate target because of the previous changes in 7.31. So that's a hero that I think he always takes a lot of time to be looked over, and then you've got that perfect 1-2 punch. Last lane we haven't really paid too much attention to is going to be up top here for KP, and already something that we'll kind of bring up in the draft was his Death Prophet versus the Tiny, if the Tiny was going to be a position 1, and it's very similar to the Conquer. Strength hero, high health, so Spirit Siphon does a ridiculous amount to DB in the lane. Just so everyone is a little aware, Parker's trying to work on some of the voice issues, so should get that one sorted.
Hello. I don't know if it's 100% fixed now.
I couldn't tell because the missile just flew out, so there was a little bit of stacking for the own missile. I think it sounded good there.
Just need to chill. Stop using spells for a second, let us let me troubleshoot my mic. Yeah, so far, no one like dominating these lanes. It feels like. Sorry.
Oh, bottom lane Q is actually pushing up. Armin's Avalanche going to hold them back. Now, with 2 points in the Nether Blast, it's not enough to bring down Q. Great positioning from Savage, just almost putting his body on the line. Maybe a bit too far forward, though. Savage still eats a lot of damage, but they do have a Selva piece.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it feels like the way these lanes are going so far, I think Talon are at least pretty happy because for them, they just want to make sure that like this morph doesn't roll over the Ember, and I think Makoto's having a pretty good time here, a little bit behind on CS, but he's poised for those kind of support rotations to kind of come into play around that 6-minute mark when the power runes are going to get
tower is under attack.
And do you feel like either side has maybe a better way to be able to secure these power runes?
Looking at supports, I mean, generally I think it depends how many resources they want to commit. Usually you'll see, one team kind of commit their supports to one side and the other side. So I think heroes like Tiny right now, no health, no mana, not really in a good position to contest. So if they want to, they need to bring out some additional regen on these supports to make sure they're, kind of ready to fight.
I think it also comes down to how the creep equilibrium is set in your favor as well, because you don't want a core that's left on the opposite side of the lane where he's unable to get any farm, and then sometimes if you then don't get the power rune, then it's a trade that's not worthwhile as your core doesn't have a good time in the side lane, and then you don't help out the mid hero as well.
Yeah, I think we often see Weaver just one of these really good heroes. He's getting a bit low top, he'll be fine, but very good at kind of just being mobile and getting to these runes to contest. Q actually TP's top, so 3 heroes top looking to make a play.
Q's gonna run into Varese. He's got 2 points of Inkswell, and with a long duration of it stacked onto Varese, we do have our first blood picked up from KP. They feel like they can battle to the Conquer though. Maybe he's not the easiest person to bring down, especially without the Spirit Siphon charges, but bottom lane, look at Army Geniuses. I love this play. They have the recognition that the Grimstroke left the lane, so they're going to use the numbers advantage to perfection as they chase down Savage under the tower.
Yeah, with all this side lane fighting, the mid 6-minute power rune just turned into an RNG battle where, hey, no supports are rotating, Makoto's just going to guess guess a side, and he guesses right, so he gets an Arcane Rune, but I would say very odd rotation from Grim, and Grim now in some trouble top.
I mean, dude, this
Rocket
rocket barrage. Fuck, that's so much damage. Oh my.
Yeah. I'm not totally sure why QTP's top there. It's like nice. I think maybe just because nobody had claimed first blood, it's like a lot more gold than other kills you're going to get. But leaving your Wraith King alone down bottom, the obvious thing happens. They see Grimstroke top, they just instantly dive the Wraith King.
And it's now a pretty big timing for the Pugner as well. You've got the catapult wave. It's awkward because your position 2 is very stagnant. Morphling's not looking to make any rotations like what the Ember Spirit would be, so maybe Talon are actually going to get away with this, with the catapult not being too much of a concern. But
Well, it's coming out. Yeah, this could be one of those games where Wraith King has to hit up the jungle a little bit earlier than he'd perhaps like. But, you know, that's partly why Wraith King's always been picked, is because he is this safe lane carry that jungles very efficiently. I think there's some heroes you push him to the jungle and they're like, okay, it can kind of ruin their game. Wraith King, not so much.
Q. Alright, they're going to look to smoke. Okay, Makoto and Q combined together. 2 points in Inkswell. Makoto doesn't have too long of the arcane. Nice positioning from Narman. It's going to be in a spot where he can pop this. Savage is even looking to swing on over as well. The question is, did they give it to Savage? To the newly formed carry onto Talon, and Makoto's like, alright, I'll take this one. I could definitely take over the game if I get some influx of net worth. So, Makoto, executive call.
Yeah, he's yoinking that one. I think Wraith King kind of struggles to chase down those kills, and a lot of these teams, you know, they're not thinking about who gets the kill a lot of the time. And you know, if it's a freebie, yeah, you try to give it to your carry or your mid, but you definitely want to make sure. I've seen too many times where a team will try in the past where teams try to give a kill to a certain hero and then they don't end up getting it. So, you know, secure the kill at all costs.
It's another rune for Makoto as well. Arcane Prior, now the regen, so. Oh, Makoto did actually go into the max out slide. Were you expecting this into the matchup of the Morphling?
I don't know this matchup all too well, when to be honest. I think I've just seen it in the past where the laning stage can be kind of rough. Maybe this is just the way you play the lane, because the Sleight of Fist can be used to help secure last hits and like sit back and just farm the lane a bit more. You're not ever going to kill him Morphling, so the Searing Chains doesn't have as much value. And with obviously the Orb of Corrosion, a lot of synergy with Max Life. It's kind of, this is what you do against a Puck, for example. So maybe you play into Morphling the same way you play into Puck.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, because I was just intrigued, because Morphling being very high in agility, he's got a lot of armor, whereas Slight's not going to compare. But in Makoto, we're already seeing him look to get super active, and combined with KP's first Exorcism. So Tier 1 tower top is soon to go down. Very nicely played in how Talon are able to convert with the first ulti of the game.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And Makoto was thinking of rotating, but as soon as Morphling, you know, starts hitting his Tier 1 tower, he's back to the mid lane, doing his job, making sure. You know, it's definitely not the worst hero to kind of rotate against, but it's always that risk of, you know, you leave your mid lane, he's going to take your tower.
DB, he's got Armlet already. He's going to actually battle against the duo of Talon. Nice combination. So DB secures the kill. They've still got one more Spirit Siphon. It's going to be super awkward with the Armlet toggle DB. And that's the price to pay. You stick around for a little bit too long, thinking that you can man fight Talon, and well, KP comes out on top in the trade.
That's a big kill when you're bringing down the enemy carry. Hunka going down. The Morphling having a great time mid, but I just feel like in games we've seen Morphling takes a lot longer to come online, and Morphling, yeah, he's being pressured, but nothing really that can threaten to kill him at this stage of the game. Unless they bring in some serious numbers.
And it's, I guess, across the map, one thing we didn't really mention is that Wombi was able to take the T1 tower bottom, so another early ejectors along with Army Geniuses. But what's really the game plan now from a Pugner? Like, you took your tower, but how does he want to play this next couple of minutes?
I think he really wants to play around the Kunkka. Kunkka going for this early armlet is like, okay, I'm ready to fight and be strong now. It's like this very cost-effective item that makes you super tanky. So I don't like that these two heroes are on opposite sides of the map. But we'll see if they maybe start making some moves to go for a next tower. You know, new siege wagons are out. They could go for another push.
Trying to... It's really just annoying Savage. I don't know if you're ever going to get the kill. Maybe it's actually Talon that can turn this to their advantage as Q looks to step in. Savage is able to miss on the combination here. So the Wraith King hasn't gone down just yet until the Tidebringer from DB. Beautifully placed with it coming off cooldown. So now this is going to prevent Savage from farming as aggressively as what I'm sure he'd like to.
Yeah, he was holding the skill point early on there, but, you know, I think it's okay for him. He was just trying to get the most out of the lane and not go back to the jungle too early on. Ultimately, you know, he gets value. He doesn't die a second time. The worst thing to do is you reincarnate in a situation where you're going to just die twice and waste the cooldown. But this is where I think, Pugna's sitting top, like pushing out this wave, but if
Dire's
you have this
middle
Pugna down
tower is
bottom, you
under
can
attack.
pressure for more kills and maybe even this tier 2 tower. So I think the issue is, though, they still feel like they need somebody up top because you're playing the Death Prophet, you ditch this top lane, suddenly you're going to be losing maybe a tier 2 tower or forced to rotate to defend.
Omi may have overstepped the boundary. And we were speaking a lot about the Tiny, and if this is a hero that doesn't snowball, then you feel very lackluster in a position 4. And I feel like he's a prime hero to get the dead lane, because you don't really mind dying. More importantly, you want the gold to get closer to the blink, because speaking about the Tiny, he's going to be chased down. They're too late on their rotations, even Wommy trying to connect to mid. But how did he kill the Ember? Yeah, he just easy remnant like that.
You don't.
I'm worth so much more.
Yeah, Makoto's game feels very free at this point. I think until there's a Blink Dagger on Tiny, there's just no real threat to kill him ever. And that Blink on Tiny is, we touched on the 4 Tiny, much like the 4 Shaker.
Zero.
Just takes a long time.
Initial Sans. Is he able to get the attribute shift off? It looks like that's going to be the case. Wommy doing a very good job protecting him. It goes to show, though, like Talon, they're going to make sure they always bring the numbers advantage to try and protect this tier 1 tower.
Yep. Absolutely. They are strong enough now. Like this level 10 Ember early on
Dire's
has the
top tower is under
bonus
attack.
damage from the level 10 Talon. Just going right into the BK. He's just going for this BKB rush. He's just going to be spamming Sleight of Fist in every fight. And, some of these squishy heroes like the Tiny, pretty, not the greatest base armor, can kind of struggle against this a bit.
We're also seeing KP going to the first item BKB as well. So looking like Radiant are trying to hit a timing together, I suppose, because Army Genius is a heavy into the magical damage.
Dire are scanning.
Yeah, and they don't really have any good answers for this BKB. Like, Morphleg's going to take multiple items before he comes online and does any kind of physical damage, so... Does feel like a game where Talon are going to hit this timing with these BKBs where they can easily take a fight, win, secure Roshan, and then just go from objective to objective. Maybe not go high ground. I think that's always a much bigger ask, but at least initially they can, completely starve out the map and just, gather more resources and outfarm their opponents.
Something that I was speaking about a little bit earlier was I was confused on who Morphling would look to morph into in a game like this. Are you seeing like a standout hero?
Not really, to be honest. I think Ember's always okay. Maybe that's unfair. I think Ember is pretty solid. Generally, that's the other reason Morphling was picked into Ember, is because turning into him, you just get this nice, easy catch with the, you can slide a fist, searing chains, and then just chase heroes down. So, other than the Ember, I don't think any of the others are really amazing.
Radiant's middle
This is
tower
cool play
has
from
fallen.
Army Geniuses. Wommy with the haste looked to move top and with the help of Narman try to bring down the Death Prophet, but they saw the 2 heroes instantly TP to respect that, and Army Geniuses use this information where Azura just starts to beat onto the tier 1 tower. So now they've been able to take that for free, and something we were mentioning is the fact that Talon are going to put pretty much all their might just to hold this tier 1 tower as long as possible. So Army Geniuses get it without no contestation.
Anyway, I've definitely, highlight how Makoto's game feels really good with how there's nothing that can kill him. And, he's yet to die. He's not farming super well. And I'd say on the other side, you've got Azura's Morphling, who does need a couple items come online, but this is a pretty free Morphling game. Like, the Searing Chains and Wraithfire Blast, like, that's the disables and lockdown. There's nothing that's going to really threaten to burst a Morphling down. So it does feel like Azura, if he can get enough farm before Talon, take over with their BKB timings, this game could swing back Army Genius's way.
We've seen the Manta be also a great way to be able to deal with the Grimstroke Phantom's Embrace, which I think is the only real way that Talon ever get an initial start onto the Morphling. So he's recognized this. Azura's going first item Manta, and like you said, it's a very good game. So I think once Azura picks up Manta, he's going to be at a stage where they have to kill him somehow from nighttime and out of fog with like a Wraith Fire Blast or something.
Yeah. Almost feels like one of those, let's just kill his teammates first and deal with the rest.
Oh, Nama, nice blink reveal with the burst. Might not be enough. Makoto doesn't get the remnant out, however. It was the Nether Ward that actually claimed the life, but look at Talon's positioning. They want to take the fight. KP's got the BKB and the level 2 of the EXO. So this is a starry Death Prophet that they have to deal with, and well, it looks like they won't even look to man fight KP. Although Azura As a double damage rune, it's actually standing his ground, and KP is not going to have anything to do with that, as they'll turn now to hide a boat out front of the outpost up top. And what a blink reveal from Narman. They not only get Makoto, but they also get a couple more supports as Azure is continuing the chase. Savage going to look to deep in the area. He's got his own blink as well, catching the Morphling off guard. Well, Puck, that's exactly what we're mentioning. The Wraith 5 blast, and he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, just the blink reveals of sorts. I mean, first it's the Tinies, and then a Wraith King catching Morphling by surprise. I was kind of watching Azura just chase KP down. He just didn't quite have the damage. Raindrop saving the
Makoto
day.
again. Got a Remnant. Apologies.
No, it's all good. And I think Makoto just maybe a bit overestimating his survivability there. Didn't have a Remnant out. He tried to cast it after he got ganked, and you know, I think as an Ember, he had max Remnants. You may as well have one, you know, somewhere back in safety, especially when you're going for a contested power rune there. A bit of definitely a, you know, small little mistake that Makoto could have avoided.
Eyeing up DB bottom though. He will run into Makoto. Close to the tier 1 tower, but with both still on cooldown, he needed that instant for the run buff, and there's no even way you can get it off with the lack of mana.
Yeah, it's a nice kill too. The second time they brought down DB, it feels like his BKB is desperately needed against this Grim Ember combo. I'm kind of saying it hasn't had the most success. I think part of that is maybe just due to, like, it is just this go-to combo that teams like, you know, teams who may be struggling may just be like, oh, what do we pick? We keep losing games. Let's just pick Remember. That's easy to play, right? So I think it's some of these easy-to-play combos are a victim of, you know, weaker teams picking them at times. But not the case here with Talon.
Yeah, no, Talon looking exceptional with it. And it's going to get that much easier to play with the Aghanim Shard, the Grimstroke, which he now has completed. We also see a very early shard on KP as well, who is back and forth in the top net worth position, and KP is having an exceptional time, 5-0-1.
Yeah, absolutely owning this game. And that was a similar story in there last year's against Motivate Trust. It felt like some of these games, KP was the one just carrying the game. He played a Night Stalker with an Io. He was just absolutely tearing it up. He played a Necrophos game as well, so it does seem like they're really prioritizing giving KP these good games and not saying like, okay, we got to, you know, play 4 Protect, 1 Dota with 23 Savage, the way some of, you know, maybe his past teams have done.
But also, the beautiful thing is they have kind of attempted that. We saw the position 3 Omni Knight for KP, which was really interesting because that hero, you know, people are trying to play him, but mainly he's a 5 at the moment.
Dire's middle tower is under
And
attack.
if anything, that's just the flexibility there, and like, okay, we'll do a 4 Protect 1. We'll also do games where KP gets more space, so it does feel like this team is very
Nice
flexible.
toss to reposition away from the supports that are playing next to the Wraith King. So they'll easily deal with the first fight, but this fight, it's all on KP to turn it back around. Charging down the Tiny. Narman's already used the combo though. He's very split from the team, so it looks like army geniuses. If they can keep this tier 1 tower alive at the, you know, forcing out the Reincarnation and Exo, then that's a big victory.
Yeah, I think they did a good job on Army Genius's side to just disengage once KP committed exorcism, and even though Narman dies, he kind of pulled them away from the tower. But they're not done.
Run into Breeze. Scott Makoto, sorry, DB and Wombi behind him. Wombi, man, look at that damage. Great timing the silencer from KP. The Exo soon to expire, and again, you're bleeding another kill, but I think the important thing is his tower should stay standing.
They've kept it alive, and I think if you're a Talon, you're just kind of got to back off, farm your side lanes. They've got KP's BKB. Makoto now finishes his, but they're going to want to wait for these cooldowns. Reincarnation, Exorcism are 2 important ones to play around. And, you know, Army Geniuses, they hold there. I think the idea of initiating on Wraith King, maybe, I don't know, it helps them defend the tower, but I think if they ever want to win a team fight, they can't afford to use that many spells on the Wraith King Reincarnation.
Oh, Q, nicely done.
Yeah.
They dropped the sentry, another one used. I believe they smoked underneath the observe ward on the cliff. So Radiant, they had information of this. They pinged it out instantly. It was either going to be the Weaver or the Grimstroke to pop the smoke. And well, this time it's Q to do the job. They're still going to jump on Makoto. He's got BKB, but you'd hate to use it. Luckily enough, a Remnant already placed. Oh, they are.
They know how weak Talon are without Exorcism or Reincarnation. That's why they smoked there. They wanted to get a bigger kill. Like, it was kind of nice by Q to tank the smoke gank. But at the same time, like, can you stop this Roach? They've now scattered out.
They're
They
coming.
need to get your food.
I don't know. This is still difficult to take. We'll try and stand their ground with how weak Roche is, but Radiant, can they get inside the pit? Beautifully placed from Nam, and he's going to be able to disrupt Talon. So it will be a free Aegis as Azura claims this one. He's going to be able to waveform out to safety, but they're still hunting. Savage blinks on the high ground, gets one swipe, and now with the Aegis claimed, Talon surrounding the Morphling onto the respawn, but Nam into safety. An Avalanche combo, Torrent to fly. They still are unable to deal with the Morphling. It's Savage's job with the full-up stun. They kill him off. Talon pursuing onto DB, deep underneath the T2 tower. All onto the armlet toggles from DB. He's doing an exceptional job to hold his life. Do they think about the tier 3? Do they go Savage? Oh, they're indecisive, and they also leave Varese as well. But Talon, that's a success in the end.
Yeah, it is. In the end, it still goes their way. Some nice jukes at the end by the Kunkka. Wraith King had the stun, but just couldn't get the vision for it. And yeah, I think they just committed too much in the Roche pit. They were like throwing cold. The cooldown like only hits Roshan there. I guess they were expecting Talon to come in and make a play to either snipe Roshan or take the fight, which they do. They just, I think Talon just showed they're happy to wait for Roche to go down. Ideally, I'm sure they wanted to try and stop Roche happening, but they recognize that Army Geniuses threw too many spells in the pit. They committed both and cooldown just for Roshan, not for any kind of enemy hero. So, you know, Talon, the same way Army Geniuses recognize, okay, you use all your big ultimates, we can take Roshan. Talon's like, use your big ultimates, we can take a fight. Aegis or not.
I think that's really scary as well, because like you just said, they didn't have Exo. So this is just showing that the Death Prophet really isn't just an Exo bot, honestly. And especially with that, the Aghanim Shard, you got 5 stacks in the Siphon, and oh my god, do they even deal with KP as the game goes on?
It's tricky. KP, just the casual plate mail, and now Blink queued up. He is very tanky and hard to deal with. That the fear from the Siphon is just really strong as well. You know, a lot of these heroes have BKB, and Azura is about to finish his own on Morphling. I think that's going to be key. But it gets to a point where even if they can deal with KP, can you also deal with Savage's Wraith King? Like, he's taken advantage of all this space being created by his teammates. He's had a very quiet game, 1-1 and 3, but he is still top of the farm.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It just goes back to me on what does this Pugna provide Army Geniuses in the fights? Like maybe another ward, but how do you really look to play them?
Bottom tower is under attack.
Often the Pugna, that's why I thought I kind of slightly prefer support, even though Wormy's a huge Pugna spammer, is just like you just you siphon your carry.
Talon, they're moving forward. Soulbind out, leashing Tiny and the Morphling together. He doesn't get Manta. Oh! BKB off. No! You've got 2 defensive items and he couldn't use any of them. And a Makoto still trailing some of the Army Geniuses heroes.
TP's got BKB, but without a TP, he may just get chased down here.
The rest of Talon, they're not behind Makoto. It's only Q at the moment. Yeah, they just want objectives. Makoto, like you said, they don't know the TP's not available, but he's really just stopping DB from going back to defend. Now Talon is starting connect to bottom. What? DB? Oh no. Oh no, DB. What's going on?
He can BKB TP. He's juked him. He's he's found a little hole to tuck himself into and hide. So he's safe for now. And, you know, Talon, they had the opportunity to push. They still have Exism, but, you know, going high ground is just a really tough thing to do in Dota these days. So taking a tier 2 tower, controlling the enemy outpost is going to be enough for them.
It's more time till they get closer to their level 18s, which is huge for the Death Prophet and huge for the Wraith King as well. Now you've got 60-second cooldown in Reincarnation.
See, X mid.
Ooh.
Nice flank away.
Savage, he's going to pounce. The McCabe's going to be able to disjoint, but KP wants an angle into the fight, and he's going to find it. Exo BKB charging down Nam, and they've got Makoto swinging towards the back as well. Tiny... Ooh, hang on, what just happened? Ember just popped. So much damage from Azura. Look at him turn this fight to Army Genius's favor. Morphling turning it up a notch. It's a 2-for-2 in the end. But what could have been catastrophic if the Morphling was not there?
Yeah, the Morph just showed up full agi. They didn't have any real spells left for him. And with his BKB, he was just untouchable. KP's Exorcism just doesn't do enough damage because, you know, it's Morphling. This guy with full agi has like 40 armor, 45 armor. He is incredibly tanky to the physical damage. So Yeah, Talon, I think, just bit off a bit more they can chew, and once Mikoto gets kind of bursted and caught by surprise by the kind of the Morphling there, the fight just falls apart.
Huge, at least. Coming into this, we were speaking a lot that Talon, they've been uncontested. You know, their longest game was 31 minutes against Motivate, but that game was very, very Talon favored. But this one, like, I know Talon have the lead, it's 3,000, but Army Geniuses are really putting up a fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is not the kind of Talon results we saw in the previous games. I think Talon is still playing good, but Army Geniuses are really staying in this.
Kodo look to try and bring down the Tiny. He's a little bit angry for them making the attempt to secure the kill. Okay. Now that he's got some heroes behind him, they'll just rip apart Narman's life. And Hyde's able to find the time lapse out. They need the Morphling. It's a lot of the damage is starting to show up. Azura, what's the target he's looking to jump? Fresh level 20 completed.
Still no exorcism, so not sure if Talon want to commit too hard for this fight. They do have some really good vision now with the high ground ward mid, so feels like they are looking for that next pick off.
Saw the Morphling talent into 20 strength. Are you a bit surprised by this, considering the defensive items that he has at the moment?
I like it more, actually. I think it's good because it just allows him to play as a full Agi morph. Like, you go full Agi and you're maybe like, what, 1,200 health or so, but now with the 20 strength, he's just got a nice little buffer. Basically, 20 strength is like getting a 20 Agi talent because it's just
sure
morph strength back and forth. So it's obviously he can't turn that plus 20 strength into Agi. It's fixed, but it just makes him a little bit tankier when he is in this full Agi mode.
Okay, yep.
Waveform attack target's kind of like this farming skill. I don't know. It doesn't feel that amazing as level 20.
Kodo. The trigger that he has to hold BKB whenever they're jumping is exceptional. And now he's going to have this for the fight soon to break out. His Talon sweeping from top towards the Ancients of Army Geniuses as they'll get the kill onto Narman, and Savage is trailing Varize with the help behind. They'll make sure there's no escape. Even KP is going to look to blink towards the secret shop. Poor Varize doesn't have DP or Azura next to him. They're going to chuck out a straight boat. Mikoto unable to dodge this, but look at how hesitant Army Geniuses are. Down 2 heroes. They will respect the side of Talon.
Both teams just kind of disengaging. They've still got exorcism, so potential for them to go for maybe Roshan or try and re-engage, take another fight here. Roshan will be up in the next 3 minutes time. We'll see that exact timer fairly soon. I think Talon, knowing this, don't want to like overcommit onto a bad fight right now.
A very deep ward inside the base though. Maybe something that Army Genius is not expecting at this stage of the game. So Talon have a lot of information around mid. KP's going to jump instantly on top of the Conquer. They've got the Decrypt to delay this a little bit. Really needs the boat, but it's on cooldown, unfortunately, so DB's going to rely on the BKB instead. They might kill off the first life. Nice toss back, and oh! Alright, this could be a fight from Army Genius, but KP instantly jumping inside the base, and all of a sudden, Talon, oh, they're pillaging even more. 2 drop like that. KP, though, he might be in trouble as well. Alright, Army Geniuses find some way to rectify the fight.
Nice from Azura, using that slight Searing Chains combo himself, morphing back and forth. KP was just going to kind of run away. You know, he's a death prophet. He's super mobile, but Azura gained that extra bit of lockdown by having that Ember morph. So still pretty good for Talon. I think they kind of had... They basically got forced to like hard commit to a fight because Wraithkin gets tossed into the base and, you know, Reincarnation pops. He's got to fight. But the good thing is you have a Death Prophet Wraithking who have BKBs and Exorcism, so they just happily get a couple of kills easily. The issue is when those BKBs wear off, that's when the morph really start to shine.
We do have Roshan up and available though. Second Rosh of the game, so Aegis, Aghanim, and Shard, and they scanned it out, but Talon, it was only Q in the pit, and he left as well, so in the end it scanned green, so maybe Army Geniuses don't really have full confirmation of this.
Yeah, they don't have an easy way to scout it. Ooh, bottom, they tried to go on the Ember, but he gets out. They're going to go... Okay, they instantly go into Rosh. They see 2 heroes bottom trying to make a play on Ember, and they just go for Rosh, even without Death Prophet, without Exorcism. They kill this pretty fast with the bugs as well as the Wraith King Desolated. A lot of minus armor for Rosh.
They know this is going on. You saw Dai instantly looking to connect to smoke, but they will be too late. Kodo, given the ages, Savage. Oh, Wraithing's gonna take the shard. Wow. Has Ember got his? He doesn't. Hang on. Parker?
Ember bought, I saw he had it queued up. Did he already buy it on his courier, maybe?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
No, it's not on his courier. Maybe it's I don't think Ember's shard is that amazing. Like, it's okay. It's like you
We're gonna see KP behind. Naman and Zura. KP's instantly able to pop the BKB, but Zura's doing so much with the fresh Skadi. Rip apart the life of Death Prophet, but look at Talon. They don't even care about the numbers disadvantage. Makoto pounces into the river, finding a multiple targets with the chains. A 1-for-1 now, but Makoto looking to give them the advantage. Over towards Naman. Another toss away. Dude, Naman is making so much happen with the support Tiny. And now with Zura, he's got a free fight. There's nothing that Radiant can really do to prevent the Morphling just freely sieging down target after target. Code, of course, given over the ages, so he's going to be okay. Naman's waiting, though, at the Remnant location, so what does Makoto do?
He's still waiting.
I don't know how Makoto gets out of this. Remnant up into the 5 seconds. He'll need the second one to make it out, but he won't even have that time. His army geniuses find 4.
It cost him a tiny buyback, but that's your support buyback. That was just another huge fight. This Morphling with the Skadi is a big, big problem. He's just able to go on KP, tank through any kind of damage KP dishes out, and they did a really good job when the Morphling went on KP. The rest of Army Geniuses didn't try and help Morphling out, because if they do, they're just giving KP additional Spirit Siphon targets. So the only hero he could try and siphon was the Morphling, and he wasn't lifestealing enough, and he's being slowed down by the Skadi, so it just became impossible for him to get away from this Morph.
And he's got 2,700 gold as well for a Zero. So what's that next item what's going on? Poor Varese.
Well, they're in from Kunkka.
Radiant have the outpost though, so they won't get any extra TPs.
Okay, he's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, DB. Q's actually gonna look to jump. He's close to their high ground now, so with Wami showing up.
Yeah.
DB.
Good patience, not the BKB, and
dude, it's like so aggressive.
yeah. Initially, yeah, look, I was like, okay, this makes sense. You've got an outpost. I was like, wait a second, that's Talon's outpost.
Well, that space, they got 2 T2 towers, bottom and mid as well. So I guess DB just looking to create some chaos on the map.
Yep. Yeah, he's, this AC, it's a very physical damage focused lineup now on the Radiant. Offlane Death Prophet, Wraith King, so just going all in for these armor items. Morphling naturally super high armor with all his agi. As a Skadi and Satanic, he's almost finished this. Like, how do you burst this Morphling? How do you stop him lifestealing during Satanic? It's going to get pretty tricky for Talon in the late game, and I just don't think Wraith King's a carry that has a huge amount of damage to kind of contest a Morphling in a fight, or really, they're going to have to just essentially ignore this Morphling and try and deal with everyone else first, as they've done pretty well. This Tiny, Norman, he's usually one game focus in fights. This time around, he's going to get caught out doing some crazy split pushing.
Yeah, Tiny's not the best split pushing hero. You see instantly Radiant looking to try and protect their higher ground ward. KP to start. Dude, look at the Death Prophet go to work. BKB doesn't give a damn. Still been 6 seconds, so KP's fine. Just expend this for the life of the Gyrocopter. They've also run into Azura on the back line, but like you mentioned, how do you kill him?
Radiant's top tower is
I think
under
Army
attack.
Geniuses, their support seem to not be the ones showing as much and like split pushing, because all these other cores with their BKBs or Pugna with his Glimmer. I mean, I think Pugna's just playing and positioning safely, but like the Tiny dying at the start of these fights is pretty can be pretty harmful for Army Geniuses that rely a lot on Tiny's lockdown to kind of catch heroes and house them in and get them out of position.
So what are your thoughts on this Grimstroke build? Do you itemize Hex or the Ags to deal with the Morphling?
Ooh.
Because they're both really good. They're both really good. Like, it's a good Dark Portrait target, but you want that instant stun.
Yeah, I think the instant stun is just nice because he sees this Morphling hasn't gone Lincolns. And it's going to feel really good considering they don't have much lockdown on their team. Like, the Blink Wraith King is their best initiation. The Searing Chains, you can always BKB it off, so I think they just feel like they have no way to kill Morphling without a Hex.
Difficult though, because he does have the Titan Sliver, so at least some status resistance for the morph. And but that's the thing, you could get Hex to start, then Wraith King jump in, then you've got the Grimstroke also providing more lockdown as well. So that could be an angle, but if Morphling is really concerned, he can always go for the attribute shift while stunned, which we still see the waveform charges a lot more, but he has the option.
The other thing they have is that the Siphon here, there's a lot of control.
Is he? For haste.
Pushed it a little further than perhaps he needed to. I'm not sure if he needed to, if he could remnant away before instead of BKB.
They're smoking though. With the BKB on cooldown, maybe Makoto can't have as free of a fight, but KP is going to jump into the middle. Azura looking to follow suit as well. Wherever the Death Prophet is, Morphling soon to follow. He's going to try and transition to the northern side. Makoto's locked in place, and Azura, look at how much damage that he can dish out. The buyback forced out. They're pursuing more. What a torrent DB connecting onto two. And Dire, they're doing an exceptional job to continue to kite the fight. Now with Assault by now, but still Savage starting to beat onto the Morphling. Full strength shift, so he's not going to have a lot of damage. Needs the waveform out to safety. Radiant, unable to continue the hunt. Another waveform from Azura, so he's out. Maybe they look to Savage instead with her Incarnation being on cooldown. Gonna reset though. Still another very awkward fight.
It's another fight where you can see that there is potential. This Morphling could 1v5 this game. I mean, his team are doing everything they can to buff him up. It's, you know, his team are not dead weight by any means. The Pugnus just sitting back, using this life drain to keep healing the Morphling when needed. You know, the Morphling is just unafraid of any of the damage. He can go in on Wraith King, on Death Prophet. There's nothing that really seems to threaten to ever kill him. So even when he's, you know, morphing strength, he still does okay damage in these fights. I mean, Talon, got to start feeling a little concerned about, can they answer morph?
It was cool though, I think, from Talon and how they played that fight. It looked like the executive call was just to jump him on Savage and try and just put as much damage as you can into the morph and force him to go strength, because like you said, he's going to do a decent amount of damage, but it's not as much as this maxed out Agi morph.
Yeah. I think any scenario where you're forcing him to go more full strength is going to at least limit what he can do. Completely ignoring Morphling, he's going to get a couple of kills in a fight. So you have to at least throw some kind of stuns or disables his way.
Did see him end up going for the double waveform charges, and of course the Wraith King, he went for the Mortal Strike as well. The next 25 is going to be DB. About a quarter away, so closing on that.
I'm a little surprised. This Weaver's going in, has a Scotty queued up. I guess thinking to address the Morphling a little bit, but with the reduced heals. But it does feel like they would maybe benefit from an Ag Scepter. There's a few times where Makoto gets gone on, and you know they don't have that save. I feel like there is still potential for like a Weaver Ags to really impact this game and keep Makoto alive in these fights.
Yeah, that's always the tricky decision that you need to come through. Is you just get decimated. It's like, do you want, because it's a pretty goddamn good Skadi game. Morphling carry against the Conquer, against the Pugna, so a lot of the sustain that these heroes are going to have. But like you said, do you go for this and play aggressive, or do you itemize just to try and keep someone alive? But I guess also Ags did get nerfed, so maybe it was the previous Ags, it would be a given to go for it.
True. Very true, yeah.
DB! That's a good way to start. Cleave onto two. KP has to pop an early extra, but look at Azura. He can stand his ground. This is going to be a wasted extra from KP, so there's no real threat of the Death Prophet buying back, and well, there's no even opportunity for Talon to have that as they lose 3 to start.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe KP needs like a Ghost Scepter or something. He just, anytime Morphling gets on top of him, he can't run away because of the Scotty, or he needs like a Force Staff. He's got a Yule speed up. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I don't feel like he should be dying so easily.
Backline, wait, Savage? He's got BKB, but he can't just TP out. Gonna rely on the mobility, and they have no vision. But meanwhile, Azura's taking a tier 3.
Yep. They've got those Ag Shard Ember, so you can just plop those to try and defend and clear the creep wave a little bit.
Q? Norman again has to fall up in our Q once. Just getting decimated from the Morphling's damage. He is well and truly a threat, and you can fall back and now take Roshan.
Yeah, this is a free Roche here. There's only 2 heroes alive. They're not going to get here in time, so we're going to... Morphling's got a slot for this Aegis. He can also has a Lincoln queued up, so he can swap out his treads, and he's going to be monstrous. I think you just plot Morphling on the high ground, and what stops him from pushing? I just don't think Talon have an answer
Radiant's
anymore.
top tower is under attack.
Who's the shard carrier for Army Geniuses? It's not like the big wombo combo ultimate.
You mean the Aghanim shard, or
Sorry, the refresher shard. Apologies.
Oh, refresher shard. I was like, okay. Well, Morphling's gonna. I guess he's going for double BKB, man. Like
Radiant's
just
top tower
double
is
up on
under
all his
attack.
items. Get a second Satanic BKB theoretically.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
He can kind of slot it in when he pops his Aegis. But yeah, they don't, like you say, they don't have any good refresher shard heroes particularly.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Well, looks like Talon the call is just a split push out the map. Top and bot all shoved out. Savage. Didn't even hit this high ground.
Dire's bottom tower is under
It's
attack.
gonna do a lot of damage. It is a catapult wave. He's got some skellies that he might send up.
I'm feeling
Dire's bottom tower is under
Savage has
attack.
also got the Skadi queued up as well. So maybe with this, you might see the Weaver look to transition into something else instead. The item that we were really speaking about before as well is that Grimstroke Hex. It's still quite some ways
Dire are
away.
scanning. Dire's bottom
Yeah,
tower
it
is
helps him,
under
but
attack.
I don't think it's a game changer
Radiant's
by
top
itself.
tower is under attack.
Nice placement from the Weaver. Gonna give them information so KP can just BKB TP out. Does no one die? Wow, this is huge for Talon. You're just continuing to waste precious
Dire's
moments of the
middle tower
ages.
is under attack.
Yeah, this is all they want to do right now. Like, they're already having trouble dealing with the single Morphling life, so the idea of having to...
DB bottom actually might be in trouble. TP still on cooldown for a little bit of time. Blast Rig really being a big nuisance, and I guess also not having vision is something that they need is by the secret shop. Almond's gonna run into Q, so once again it's just split push, continue to delay.
Yeah, those support deaths. I mean, it's still a window where it's like, okay, 60 seconds where that is, potential for a high ground pressure,
Radiant's
but
top tower is
they've
under
done a good
attack.
job keeping these other lanes like pushed out, like bottom, where Wraith King's going to send his skellies, and at some point, Morphling has to come back and defend. But with the Boots of Travel, he can always rejoin his team, and looks like they may
Radiant's
try and
top
poke at this
tower
high ground. Yeah, Morphling TPing in. They want to take a lane of Rax.
Alright.
Radiant's top tower.
Azura pushes fast too. Let's play with the replicate. Forces an early BKB. Now Makoto doesn't... He's got to play very passive for this fight. Naman trying to time it perfectly.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Savage is pushing bottom.
Radiant's top
So they're
tower
trying to get
has
some
fallen.
trade out of this. But he, of course, is not as fast as what a Morphling is.
Radiant's top barracks
That's a
has
worry.
fallen.
You're 6-slot
KP?
carry just can't defend.
Plus further away from the
Dire's
Radiant's
bottom barracks
protection.
is under attack.
Nice
Dire's
heals from
bottom
Hyde
barracks
on the morph. That
has
kind of
fallen.
saves KP's life there, I feel. But
Okay,
they
KP
have
now playing
Hex.
without a
Has
PKP.
fallen.
So he's going to use an early mantle. This Hex has to be huge.
Two.
Okay, he's going to look to try and reveal it. The chain control now. Where's the follow-up? Morphling just standing his ground, and now Savage might lose the first life. Doesn't want to pop the BKB for this one just yet. How can they set up for the round two? Look at the backline though, KP. Creating some chaos along with Makoto. They haven't killed anyone off just yet, and now that Agazura with the waveform is instantly able to follow up to protect his supports. And now they're just pushing them further and further back inside the base. Savage gonna look to jump onto DB. Not the easiest target to bring down, but Savage, he wants to prove otherwise. Jump over to Vreeze. Crits need to rain on down, but still the reincarnation. It's on cooldown for Savage. He's gonna drop. He's got a buyback. But Azura, the unkillable, the god of this game, they just cannot claim his life. The triple for Makoto, doing whatever they can to
Yeah,
try and
they're killing everyone
withstand.
Buybacks from Army
Namen's
Geniuses. They
back
want to win
in
this
though.
game.
Look at the stun lock. The torrent follow-up. Makoto's in trouble. A torrent
He's
just
out.
into the measly run away, but Army Geniuses, they will not continue up the high ground.
And they took bot racks. What? Talon, they're still in this one. Those 3 buybacks, Army Genius are going to be sweating a little bit. Like, yeah, this Morphling's kind of unkillable, has an Aegis, but these other heroes, if Talon jump the backlines and kill these heroes with that buyback, they have a way to kind of turn this game.
Aegis 25 seconds still. You got to time these perfectly on Talon. Another toss away. KP doesn't get too far. Okay. Aegis popped. Remember, it's got shot though, so essentially double BKB. It's going to pop the first one. Savage looking to kite. Makoto once again towards the back line. Trying to deal with the supports that brought back prior.
Refresher.
Makoto, refresher pops. She was able to play around with multiple remnants now. Look at the chaos in and out. Makoto just cannot be stopped. But that's where Azura looks to come into play. It's going to jump towards KP, towards the high ground. A waveform aggressively. Azura continued to stand his ground. Weaver's gone, but Makoto, he's doing so much work in these fights, and Talon, somehow they hold.
Yep, the Makoto Ember just managed to kill 2 key heroes, the Tiny and Kunkka, who both don't have buyback. They do hold. It costs them a KP buyback, so they're not in this position where they can just run over the other way and try and end this game. I think they're still going to have issues trying to deal with Morphling if they go for any kind of a high ground push, but Talon keep themselves in this game in a big, big way, and it's all the Makoto Ember show in that team fight.
Radiant's middle tower.
And that's what we've come to love so far from Makoto throughout this season. He has looked exceptional on another level. Is a position 2 player on Talon, and 2 full sets. Actually, no, they didn't get the the range racks mid. So, like you said, they're really not out of it. In fact, Talon still have a net worth lead somehow.
Yeah. I think with some of those buybacks coming in, it was like a small moment where it was Dire favored, but Talon they're pressing forward. They know these 2 heroes don't have buyback, so there's a window for them to, try and go high. It's, they could maybe go for a tier 3 tower, another lane of racks, but they really want us to try to take a 4v3 fight.
We've seen prior, though, how these fights need to look for Talon. Just jump the back line, avoid Azura as best as you can.
This Pugna is so pesky in the back line.
Hex once again! He's unable to get the attribute shift. Morphling's in trouble, but Wami's life drain! Is it actually enough? No!
Much done.
What? They got him!
Dire's middle barracks.
Yeah, he's got buyback, so they're not going to win the game off of this, at least not without killing the Morphling another time, but he's going to be forced to buyback, and Talon, they choose to disengage. Makoto just going to BKB Remnant out. They say, our job is done. We just put ourselves in an amazing place right now. All we have to do is kill this Morphling one more time, and this Grimstroke Hex is proven to be the way to do it.
That is well and truly a win condition for Talon. That is a huge pick for them to find. I'm looking to see if there's any more hexes queued up, and yeah, Makoto, does have buyback though, so what's the code? You buy out for hex or not?
I don't think you do, but we'll see. Makoto's known as one of those kind of YOLO mid laners at times, so he may just decide let's get another hex. But 50 minutes in, you want to have buyback.
You could be feeling yourself though. You're like, hang on a second, Morphling, he just popped back. We kill him. This game's over. It's like, all right, lads, I'll do it. I'll do it for us. I'll buy the hex. We'll win just because of me.
Well, Morphling's saying we need to win because of me, because he's got a rapier queued up. He's feeling like they're in it's all like it's still like both teams have taken 2 lanes of racks more or less. Like, yeah, the range rack's still standing, but the issue is the buyback status, where Dire have committed all these buybacks. Radiant don't have buybacks on a lot of these heroes. Wraithing is still waiting 3 minutes, but just having 1 key buyback on a core, in this case the Ember, makes a world of difference, because he's like one of the 2 key heroes for them in these late game team fights, and having that double life, meaning all you've got to do is kill Morphling once, makes a massive difference. And now Morphling, he commits the rapier. He's got it. Let's go.
Another thing to mention is Narman has the Aghanims along with the Weaver. So they have this potential reset, which is going to be huge as Savage. Jumping, but quick reactions from Narman. And you've got to protect this. This could be Megas, and the barracks are falling fast. Savage is going to look to BKB it off. Swordbind, but doesn't leash onto Azura. Wait, KP, no. That's a rapier. You can't face check the Morphling. He just rips apart the life of their Death Prophet. And all of a sudden, retreat. The signal's been called. But Azura will not give them that possibility.
Section?
Oh, Weaver's...
No.
No way.
Oh, he got him.
No buybacks. Wait, and the lanes are pretty good. Bottom's in an okay spot. Top as well.
So there's Roshan available. There's also, you go for the Hail Mary push with the Rapier Morphling. 2 heroes without buyback. I don't know if Army Geniuses get a better chance because they're down Mega Creeps now. Like a lane or 2 of Rex, not a big deal late game, but Mega Creeps, those are things that are hard to keep pushed out. So I think they're going to maybe try to get a very quick Roshan and then just run it down mid, try and end this game.
Well, this is huge because you have... I think the most important thing is that Azura is actually about to hit level 29. So you get the waveform attacks targets. With Rapier, that is stupid amount of damage.
He's going to have Aegis Rapier.
Roshan has
It's got
fallen
plenty
into
of
the
other stuff
dungeon.
on the ground too. Refresher Shard, Ag Scepter. I guess Tiny's getting the Ags here.
Which one? Guess who else? Like,
Get some 3 volleys.
do you
He's
give it
holding
to
on to it
Wami?
for now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I love that. No cooldown life drain. Like this Pugna's job is just sitting in the back lines and life draining the Morphling in a lot of these fights.
Radiant's
So
middle
they
barracks
X
are
back
under
Azura.
attack.
Look at Savage positioning. He's gonna show himself, so they do know that Savage is not inside the base.
Oh, they gave Kunkka the Ags. Fair enough. Storm is pretty good, but yeah, they're gonna get poked at constantly top. Like 23 Savage is basically saying, if you go for us, I may force a base race. Only 1 tier 4 tower left that has a sliver of health, so this throne is very exposed on the dire
Dire's
side.
middle tower is under attack.
Wraith King knows this, so I think Army Genius are going to find themselves, unfortunately, having to just kind of play it a bit slower, even though they've got an Aegis Rapier. The good news is, yeah, they're down Mega Creeps. If this game slows down a little bit, they can just kind of wait out and for these buybacks to come back into play. The Morphling still has to wait a bit over 3 minutes, but the rest of the team have buyback very soon.
And they do defend okay. Like, Conker's very good against Megas. Morphling with Rapiers
Dire's middle
was
tower is
very
under
good with level
attack.
29, and we're seeing them hold.
They've got everything they need to push out waves against Mega Creeps. The issue is, like, can you push all 3 waves? Like, anytime you want to make a play down a lane or go for a smoke, the lanes are they just push back so fast. So it's just very annoying.
Savage.
Here we go.
DB's going to look to start. All eyes on Azura and how he can get into the middle of the fight is waiting for KP to reveal his position. But Azura is unable to lock onto the Death Prophet, so KP is going to be okay. The run into Weaver through the tree line. Makoto once again creating chaos. Savage is beelining it to the base along with KP. Look at the call. They don't want to take the face check fight. They just want to look to try and end the game, and there's no glyph. Savage and KP beating onto the throne. They need some answers. Do they have any way? Throne, 70 health, and it's gone. Talon. Take game 1. Barker, what a call. Avoid the rapier. Go for the jugular.
Yeah, you've got these unkillable, like, Morphling Kunkkas that do insane damage, and you force a fight outside their base. They just made a beeline for that throne. They were just like, screw it. Heads up call. And I feel like there's just so often how these Mega Creeps games end, where the team the team who's defending Mega Creeps actually is stronger and is going to win any team fight. So the other team just basically cheeses them and gets the victory by saying, screw it. This is Dota. Nothing matters except the throne. Who cares about which heroes are stronger? If we kill your throne, game is over. So Talon, it was a very, very close game 1, but they managed to squeak out a victory.
Oh, that they do. What an exciting game 1 as well. I mean, heading into it, we're both mentioning the fact that Talon, they've been uncontested. Longest game, 31 minutes, and Army Genius to bring the fight to them. Of course, unable to take this game, unfortunately, but I think this has to be a huge confidence booster. They could look at it like that, or they could look at it, unfortunately, in a bad way. Hopefully, it's the better one, but wow, Talon, what a game to be able to kick off our night. They're able to take it off the back of just the race in the end, avoiding the rapier on Azura, but this sets us up perfectly for our game 2. We're going to send it over break. We're back shortly with our second game of Talon up against Army Geniuses.